I found this next wall art piece and it was so incredibly overpriced, but honestly so simple and something I knew that I could recreate. This wall art was over $3,000, so I thought, let's go ahead and recreate it. I found a pack of canvases at Five Below that I picked up for $5. Now for this project, you're just going to need some macrame cord and some nautical rope. I'm gonna link both of the ones that I use on a regular basis in the description box below. Now on each of my canvas, I marked where I wanted the center strip to be on both of the canvases. I started with one of my yarns and I hot glued it to the back, and then I wrapped it around, hot glued it to the other side where I'd measured, and then I continued to wrap it around, hot gluing it periodically. Now, some of my tips whenever you're wrapping yarn or cord around a canvas, you want to try to keep the yarn or twine as close as you can. It just gives it much more of a high-end look and it looks a lot more seamless. Now for this project, you want to try to keep it as level as possible. That's just going to help you when you get to the ends. So I wrapped the cord around the middle, and then once I got to my other lines that I had marked off, I just hot glued it in place and cut off the excess. Now I'm going to take my other rope and hot glue that to the edge where I just stopped on my center portion, and I'm going to wrap that, hot gluing it until I get to the very end. Now, once you get to the end, you want to start adding in more hot glue just so that it gives it more longevity. It's going to hold in place when it's hanging on your wall. And I'm going to wrap it around, also making sure to completely cover your canvas. You want to make sure your canvas is completely covered, and then you can hot glue the excess onto the back. Once I do one side, I'm going to flip and do the other side. Now, I was thinking this project was actually going to take a while, but it went considerably faster than I thought. So if you're hesitant to try it, it really wasn't that long to create. Now you're going to repeat these steps on your second canvas, but you're just going to switch the material. So you're going to start with your macrame, putting that on in the middle, and then for your edges, you can add on your nautical rope. You're going to follow the same tips by making sure you add it really close together and covering the canvas on either of the edges. I really love this grouping of two. It adds so much texture to my walls. Do any of you have inexpensive spoon rests that you like to leave sitting out so that you can use them on a regular basis, but they may not look the best? I'm going to show you how I took a spoon rest and really made it super cute and something I can't wait to put out on my countertop. Now you could use any spoon rest you have. I grabbed this wood one off of Amazon. I'll link to it down below, as well as any of the cutting tools, machines that I'm using in this video. I'll link all that down below as well. I'm going to use my frog painter's tape to tape off at a diagonal. Now the reason I like frog painter's tape is it's really one of the best painter's tape for making sure that you don't have paint that gets underneath your tape. It works better than the other options, so I do really like it for my DIY projects. I'm going to use that same paint that I used on the desk earlier, one of those sample paints, and I'm going to put 2 coats on with a foam brush. I'm making sure that I just put the paint on the top. I don't want to see it on the side, so I was really careful around the edges. I'm going to let that completely dry. Once that's dry, I'm going to come back in and add some more painter's tape at another diagonal line just to give it a little bit of interest. I'm going to use another sample paint that I have in a darker color and put that on the end. In Cricut Design Space, I wanted to find a piece of trim. I found this border piece that I thought was perfect. I sized it and then I sent it to cut on some white permanent vinyl. I'm going to weed that piece out. Since it's one solid piece, I'll just pull it off the backing and I'll place it onto the edge of my paint line. I used my regular scissors to cut it off so that I didn't have any excess of the vinyl on the edges. I'll just place that firmly on the spoon rest. And here's how adorable it looks sitting out in my kitchen. I'm absolutely blown away with this hanging planter. This one's $5. I may have to switch it out for this one that we got for $3. Look how cool that is, you guys. I gotta get this. Maybe we'll get both. I don't know. We'll put them both in here. So for my first project, I'm gonna be making over this $5 macrame plant hanger. Straight out of the box, I think it looks awesome. I think this is a great quality plant hanger on its own. But I wanted to add a little bit of color to it. So I had a Rit liquid dye in the color Royal Blue, and I'm gonna mix that with water. Make sure you wear gloves whenever you do this because you don't wanna get the dye on your hands. I'm just gonna mix the dye into my water. The reason that I like to put my dye in water is so that I have more dye and I have more control over the dyeing process. Next, I'm going to simply dip my macrame piece into the dye. Now I did have to put my hand in the middle, hold it down, and I wanted the dye to come up about halfway on the side of the macrame pieces. So I'm just going to push it down until I have the dye exactly where I want it to be. I'm gonna pull it out, place it on a clear piece of plastic, and let it completely dry. And here's how it looks hung up with my IKEA plant. Hey guys, I'm Liz and you're watching my second DIY channel where I post daily DIY videos. You may be familiar with my main channel, Liz Fenwick DIY, but I'm glad that you found me over here on my second channel. Make sure that you're subscribed so you just get notified every day when I post our daily DIY video.